Last week on the dollar index, I emphatically stated that I will be expecting a bullish dollar. Guess what? That was exactly what we got. However, we failed to create a new higher high like I expected. So I will be thinking in probabilities for next week. But before we dive into the analysis proper, do this channel a favor by hitting that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you will be the first to be notified when we drop a new video. Thank you. Now let's dive in. In case you are joining us for the first time, I usually look at the dollar index first before I jump into the analysis on the currency pairs. Why do I do this? I do this because I trade mostly the majors, which are dollar pairs, right? Now on the dollar index, let's start from the monthly time frame. Price is sitting on a support level, or for those trading demand and supply, we are on a demand level, right? If you look at this zone, right? But demand, supply, whatever you choose to call it, we are on a key level anyways, and we are seeing a bounce, right? On the monthly time frame, is obvious. So if we go to the weekly time frame, we can see that price collapsed from this zone to this zone, right? And last 2 weeks we closed with a bullish momentum, and while last week we closed with a doji, right? Now this doji is giving us some kind of a confusing trade for next week, right? So this is where that confusion comes in, and because of that, we'll be thinking in probabilities, right? We'll be looking at two possibilities. I'll be looking at where I want to be a buyer and where I want to be a seller, right? And why am I doing that is because if you look at if you look at this chart, we've been creating high from this zone, we're creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, breaking above this previous high here, then a new higher low, right? Because this low is higher than this low, so higher low, then a new higher high. Now we came all the way down and created a new lower low here, right? For last week, I was expecting price to create a new higher high since we had this strong rejection here, but that didn't happen, right? So like I stated earlier, we'll be thinking in probabilities for next week. Now, if we go to the daily time frame on the dollar index, you can see we've broken out of this long-term trend line, right? And that was why I was actually expecting a bullish move for last week, but we got a bullish move, but it wasn't that clean like I would have loved to see, right? We can see this bullish momentum between this zone to this zone, and then we came back and we created some kind of sharp wicks, right? Like here, there's a wick here, there's a wick here, there's a wick here, and there's a wick here. And now for next week, I would like to see price create a new higher high. However, this price is currently at a strong resistance level that has been tested multiple times. If you look left, price has rejected this zone previously. Price has also reacted to this zone, this zone, this zone, this zone. You see all these rejections happened around this zone, right? So it's no surprise why we found it difficult to actually break above this zone last week. Now for next week, I'll be expecting two things. I'll be expecting for price to either create a new higher high, right? Taking out this high created here, then give us a retest before we start going bullish all the way to the upside, or let me say to this zone as our first level target. Why am I looking at that zone as our first level target? Is because price reacted to this zone previously and pushed price all the way to the downside. And if we even go further left, let's extend this to the left here, you can see price also rejected that zone previously. So if we create a new higher high here, taking out this high, then I'll be expecting a pullback for price to keep pushing all the way to that level that has been tested multiple times, looking left. All right, so that's what I'll be looking for next week. Oh, sorry, I didn't remember. I said I'll be thinking in probabilities next week, right? So it's either we get this or we see price push all the way to this zone first, right, before we see some kind of rejection. Or if we take up out this zone, then I'll be looking at price to come into this zone. All right, now this is how we are going to look at it from the lower time frames. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Let's see if we have some kind of structure If price didn't break above and keep pushing higher, then I'll be waiting for price to actually break below this trend line for me to become a seller. That will be me trading against the USD. Remember, this is the dollar index. So if price pushes higher, then we are going to see a bullish dollar, right? Which means a strong dollar against the dollar pairs. And if price keeps falling down to the downside here, that means we are going to see a weak dollar on the dollar pairs. I'll become a seller if price takes out this trend line, and I'll be a buyer if price takes out this high that has been created here. So you see me thinking in probabilities there, right? And I'm doing this because of what the market is giving to us. There are times that I call trade and I know that trade I expect trade to definitely, or let me say 80% probability that the trade is going to go my way. But right now we are in this confusing stage, and this is what I'll be looking at. I'll be waiting for price to take out this zone for me to go bullish, or for price to break below this trend line for me to go bearish. All right, so having looking at that, let's go and look at the Euro USD. On the Euro USD, let's start from the monthly time frame. In last week's video, I actually pinpointed the fact that we've taken out this trend line, this monthly trend line, and we've gone back to retest that trend line, and that retest zone has actually confluenced with the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level, which happens to be an area of resistance, right? And it's not surprising to see that price is actually collapsing from that zone, because this is the monthly time frame, and you can see we are having a strong bearish momentum to the downside. Let's go to the weekly time frame and see what we have there. On the weekly time frame, we actually took out this trend line, creating a new higher high, taking out this area here. So this bearish push to the downside is not really confirmed yet on the weekly time frame. But actually, we've seen 2 weeks of bearish price action. Let me go back to the weekly time frame. So we've seen 2 weeks of bearish price action, just like I expected last week, right? When we had this candlestick, I actually said price was going to keep pushing lower, and obviously we've closed a second consecutive week bearish, right? Strong bearish, right? Because there are no wicks, so it's mostly full bodied, right? Now let's go to the daily time frame. Let's see what we are looking like on the daily time frame. Now on the daily time frame, I actually call this trade that we're going to keep pushing lower, and that's exactly what is happening. And I was looking at this zone for price to take out this zone, and that has happened, though we've not taken it out in a very clean fashion that I would usually like. But a daily candlestick has broken below this support and has closed below that support, so we are looking bearish for next week. But remember, I said we are going to think in probabilities, right? But first of all, I'll be looking at the bearish side of USD next week. Why? Because we created a flag pattern, we've broken out of that flag, but I'll be expecting some kind of a pullback, right? Remember this zone, don't forget this zone. All right, so let's go to the 1 hour time frame. On the 1 hour time frame, price is clearly down, so I'll be expecting some pullbacks early next week, right? I'll be expecting some pullback into this trend line, right, before the collapse to the downside. All right, but like I said earlier, we are going to be thinking in probabilities. So if we don't get this rejection at this trend line to keep selling all the way to the downside, then I'll be expecting a break above this trend line for price to keep trading into this zone. So you see me thinking in two different ways here. So I'll be a buyer above this trend line, and I'll remain a seller below this trend line. All right, but in this scenario right now I'm 60% bearish and 40% bullish. So let's see how that play out. Remember, you need to look for extra confirmations before placing your trade. So which means if we come into this trend line, we want to see something like a strong rejection, maybe like a double top. If we go to the lower time frame, maybe the 30 minutes, 15 minutes time frame, we want to see some double top, some kind of chart patterns happen around this place, or some kind of candlestick pattern, maybe a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, or maybe an inverse hammer, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So, but if we break above here, then I'll wait for a retest before I go bullish. All right, I'll wait for a retest, some kind of a pullback before I go bullish. All right, so that is what I'll be looking for on the euro dollar. So let's go to GBP USD, starting from the monthly time frame. So GBP USD, just like I mentioned in last week's video, we have something like a double top that has broken the neckline and went back into that neckline for something like a retest. Now, let me tell you something, guys. I actually explain this in details in the Forex Professional course, right? Now, when you see a chart pattern play out in the same fashion across all the time frame, whether you are looking at the monthly time frame or the daily time frame or the weekly time frame or the 1 hour time frame, right? So when you see chart patterns and when you see retests happening, just like how we are seeing having a retest happening right now, it's the same thing across all the time frames. The difference is just that it happens faster on the lower time frame and it takes time to actually play out on the higher time frame, right? But the rules is the same. The rules applies across all the time frame, right? But the monthly time frame takes time for it to actually play out than it does with the lower time frame. I mean, it's definitely going to be faster on the lower time frames. All right, so I won't go into every little details because time will not permit me to do that. So on the monthly time frame, it looks like we are having a retest of a broken zone that actually confluences with the 0.55 Fibonacci retracement level. If you look closely, if I zoom in, you will see strong rejections here previously. Then you see last month's candle also failed to close above that level. Then you see this month we are beginning to have that bearish push to the downside. Let's go to the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, remember this zone the price action happening here is actually happening on that resistance level on the monthly time frame, right? And you can see it looks like we are beginning to create a double top, but remember it is not a double top until we take out the neckline. All right, so for last week, price actually pushed up for the early part of last week, but came back and closed at the same level, or let me say almost the same level of last 2 weeks close. Right now, let's go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we've taken out this trend line and we are trading below that trend line. So I plotted this Fibonacci retracement level and price went into the 0.5 fib level, which is around this zone here. If I draw a zone around here, you see it aligns with this wick that it created here. And what happened? Price started pushing lower and we actually closed Friday, which is the last day of the trading week. We actually closed that day bearish, right? So for GBP USD, I'll still be expecting price to push into this zone here. All right, remember in last week's video I mentioned that if we take out this support level here, then I'll be expecting price to push all the way to the bottom here, which is going to be a massive move, right? And there's a lot of money to be made there. But for now, since we've rejected that 0.5 fib level, I'll be expecting price to keep pushing lower to either this zone or around this zone to do either of two things: either push higher or break below and keep pushing lower. But remember, like I said, we are going to think in probabilities because of what is happening on the dollar index, right? So I'm just going to plot this trend line like I did with the euro, like I did on the euro dollar, right? So actually we had a bearish flag and price has broken below the bearish flag, and we can see that push, that big momentum to the downside, and that is why I expect price to keep pushing lower, right? However, If that doesn't happen, or let's say for the early part of next week, I'll be expecting some kind of a pullback, then maybe see a drop to the bottom here. Or if we now break above this zone, then I'll be expecting price to give us a clean break, a retest, and then I'll look for bullish pressure to buy to the upside. All right. So this is the way I'm looking at GBPUSD for now. So let's quickly look at gold. Last week also I predicted that gold is going to close lower for the week, and I think that was what we got. Price pushed higher, then came back and closed at the same or almost the same level like we did last 2 weeks with a doji. And remember, doji is a continuation pattern, or let me say doji is an indecision candlestick, right? So we can resume next week and see price keep pushing lower, or we can see price go back higher, right? Let's go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we've taken out this zone that I was looking at. Why am I looking at this zone? Our price actually tested this zone, came back, tested this zone. In fact, when we broke above, price also tested that area. There was some kind of a rejection. If I zoom in, there was some kind of a rejection. So you see, price is interested in what is happening around this zone. And now price has successfully taken out that zone. Then we had another daily bullish candle, but I want to consider this candle a retest of this zone for price to keep pushing lower, right? So if we go to the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, we had a bearish flag that we took out, made some kind of made some money here. I'm still currently in this trade, and I'm in some profit as we speak, but I'll be looking at how we start next week to know if I should close my minimal profit or just hold for price to keep falling to the downside. So since on the daily time frame we've established that we've taken out this zone, I'll be expecting to see price come back into this maybe trend line and start pushing lower, right? What I would like to see is maybe let's use the Fibonacci retracement and the Fibonacci retracement to get this. So what will happen? Maybe I would like to see how price react at this 0.6 fib level that confluences with this broken, with this trend line that has actually been broken. So I would like to see something like this, right? Then for price to collapse all the way to the downside. But remember, due to the dollar index, we are thinking in probability, right? So I'm just going to plot a trend line here, just like I did on Euro USD and GBP USD. So I'll be expecting two things. Let me just delete this so that we can see things clearly. Let me delete this also so that we can see things clearly. Let me go to the 1 hour. So let's open up the chart and see what's actually going on. So let me refine this. Let me plot this nicely. Let me bring this down. So what I'll be expecting, I would like to see how price reacts around here, right? For price to keep pushing lower. All right. So it's either we come into to retest this broken trend line, or we come into this trend line that I just plotted here, all right, to see what happens. But if we don't have a solid rejection here to keep pushing price lower, then I would like to see price break, give us a clean break, then some kind of a pullback to keep trading higher. All right, so that is how I'll be looking at gold for next week. That will be all for today's video. If you want to be a genius at trading, then our course or the mentorship program is all you need. The link is going to be in the description below. So once you click the link, it's going to bring you to our page here. Everything you need to know on becoming a consistently profitable trader. All you need to do is just to click the buy button, and it's just $85. And in Naira, it's 62,900. So you get to also enjoy 3 months free signal. Then you have direct access to me. Then you can also join our online community. And if you also want to learn in real time, like you want to trade with me in real time and learn, then the Zoom one-on-one mentorship program is all you need, which is just $300. In naira it's around 222,000 naira. All right, so and you can see one of my recent withdrawal. I even need to update this list because I just made a new withdrawal which I posted on the Telegram channel, but this withdrawal happened around December, and you can see some of the students also that already purchased this course already making withdrawals from their prop firm accounts. This guy also passed his prop firm accounts. I think I need to update this because there are more testimonies that I have received and they are absolutely amazing. All right, so just click the buy button and just go ahead and purchase the course. All right, and if you don't purchase the course, that is also fine. I'm just going to try my best to give you the best from time to time through our YouTube video analysis. All right, so with that, we've come to the end of this video. Once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified when we drop a new video. I wish you guys a successful trading week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.